Yes. That was my answer. Yes.
Both mics are supposed to be working.
Offertory is here. Candlelighting centering is him here. Two opening and closing.
Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Orlando. I am Neil Boris, and I am serving as a member of the worship team, and very pleased to be with you this morning. With me in today's service are our worship leader, JeKaren Olaoya. JeKaren Olaoya is a lifelong UU poet, writer, mixed media artist, and death and grief doula who has served Beloved Conversations, a program of the Collaborative at Meadville Lombard School of Theology, and currently serves on the UUA Board of Trustees while attending Starr King School for the Ministry in the Masters of Divinity Chaplaincy program. She is a busy person. She's also an earth-based African spiritualities practitioner with foundation in Christianity and draws from the guidance of her ancestors for spiritual care. Wow. Also in today's worship, our Director of Lifespan Religious Enrichment, Judith Stein-Farrall, our music team, including Music Director Audrey Connelly-Candelario, Board President Joan Nelson will be with us, and Worship Associate Linnea Nelson is also here as well. We send heartfelt thanks to all 1U teams who support 1U worship in so many ways. Our RE children will go to their classrooms for the first day of classes today. Hey, hey. Youth are already in the gathering space. They move like the night. They're already out there. The poster outside the nursery after services to find the room your child is in to pick up at 11:45 when class ends. So there's a poster there for you parents who are looking for your kids out in our classroom area. We welcome all to join us as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, which draws us into a community of justice seekers with a commitment to lifelong spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. You are welcome here regardless of your color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, socioeconomic status, or religious background. We welcome you. So I have some announcements. First of all, to follow our announcements about the congregation and everything that we do, please visit us at our website, orlandouu.org. You can also email info@orlandouu.org with any questions you may have. Next Sunday, March 19, is a big day. It's our congregational meeting following worship service. Mark your calendars and plan to attend the reception with a special program celebrating 1U's installation of Reverend Mary Safford Heritage Marker as part of the National Votes for Women Trail. The reception and dedication will be followed by 1U's spring congregational meeting where we will vote on the adoption of the 8th principle. All are welcome. Details for business meeting are available to members online. All other announcements are on slides before and after the service and have links in the weekly update or on our website. If you would like to follow along to the service, please use the QR code shown in the monitor and on the first few slides. Thank you so much for being in person and online today. We welcome you.
Please say these words with me while we light the chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Please rise and embody your spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. The words will be up on the screen above me.
This is our call to worship. Come, all who can hear my voice or read my words. Come here. Lay down your worries, your work, your stress. Be here with us, your community. We are all here, surviving our failing bodies, our worn out spirits, hopeful to find meaning in it all. Our ancestor, Audrey Lorde, reminds us about the vulnerability of truth-telling with these words. She says, I have come to believe over and over again that what is most important to me must be spoken, made verbal and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised or misunderstood. That speaking profits me beyond any other effect. I am standing here as a Black lesbian poet, and the meaning of all that waits upon the fact that I am still alive and might not have been. She writes in A Litany for Survival. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. Come, hear a story of survival in 3 poets.
Thank you to JeKaren, and let's all take a moment to greet one another.
Enrichment, and I'm saying that because I know there are a few new visitors in the building this morning. I invite our children of all ages, children of spirit and children of youth, to join me as you're comfortable on the carpet this morning. And I see no youth coming up here this morning. It's okay. If you're comfortable, it's fine for the story of all ages. Awesome. Sometimes we get the kids, but I guess all the youth are in the youth room this morning. So sometimes the youth come and join us up here also. So, thank you, Nicole. This morning we're reading a story called The Arabic Quilt by Aya Khalil. Sit down at your level and try and read to you. There's the Arabic quilt. Hi. Kadzi Habibiti, you're going to be late to the first day of school, Mama called. I'm coming, Mom. Kanzi stuffs her into her backpack and quickly, carefully folds her quilt. The special. Can we hear? Okay. So there she goes. She's packing away her quilt. See? Okay. Breakfast is delicious. Egyptian fava beans, homemade French toast, and watermelon with feta cheese and mint. Zachariah has watermelon juice dripping down his chin. He looks happy. I packed your favorite lunch for you, kofta sandwich, Baba exclaims. Shukran, Baba, Kanzi says, but secretly, she wishes her Baba would pack her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Her family has just moved to this town and she doesn't know anyone. She doesn't want to be different. In the car, Mama sings along with the songs on the Arabic radio channel, and when they pull up to the school, Kanzi turns down the radio volume. Mama gives her a confused look. Good luck today, Mama, says Baba. I love you too, Kanzi responds. In class, Mrs. Hagen asks all the students to share their facts, 3 facts about themselves. When it's Kanzi's turn, hi, Charlotte. When it's Kanzi's turn, she says bravely, I am Egyptian American, I love to swim, and I love to write poetry. Then she sits down at her desk. Have you all had to do that? Yeah. At lunchtime, Kanzi's surprised when Mama walks through the door. Habibti, you forgot your lunchbox. Someone says, Habibti? Like the Hobbit? Isn't your name Kanzi? Molly snickers. Her classmates laugh with her and as they walk to the cafeteria. Mrs. Hagen sees tears rolling down Kanzi's cheeks. What's wrong, she asks. Molly made fun of my mama, said Kanzi. Oh, Kanzi, being bilingual is beautiful, says Mrs. Hagen. Don't let anyone ever make you feel ashamed. You are special. That's right. That night, as Mama puts leftover sherbet ads in Kanzi's lunchbox, Kanzi gently pats Mama's back. Can you please pack me a turkey sandwich instead? Before bed, Kanzi writes a poem as she hugs her quilt, which smells like Titi's home. Titi's her grandma, right? The next day, Molly says, Mrs. Hagen said, I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I laughed at your mom's language. It sounded funny. It may sound funny to you, but that is only because you don't speak Arabic, Kanzi says. She feels a lump forming in her throat. My parents say that learning different languages makes a person smarter and kinder, she blurts out. Oh, whatever, Molly says, skipping away. Mrs. Hagen calls Kanzi to her desk after lunch. I found this notebook on the floor, and it was open to a lovely poem, she says. I was describing my Titi's quilts, Kanzi says. When I visited her in Egypt, she gave it to me. My Titi speaks Arabic. Mrs. Hagen smiles. That is special, and I would love to see your quilt. Can you bring it to school? Kanzi asks. Can I bring it to school, Kanzi asks. Sure, bring it tomorrow, says Mrs. Hagen. The next day, Kanzi unfolds her quilt in front of the class. Her heart is pounding. This is my quilt that my Titi made in Egypt. That's cool. I want to make a quilt like that, Deshawn says. Maybe we can all make one for our classroom, Claire shouts. Mrs. Hagen nods and smiles. On Friday, Mrs. Hagen makes an announcement. I have an exciting project for us all to work on. Kanzi's mom is here to help us make a quilt of all your names in Arabic. As Mama steps forward, Kanzi thinks how beautiful she looks. Shukran for welcoming me here. What do you think shukran means? Yeah? Thank you. It means thank you. Thank you. Shukran for welcoming me here, Mama says. Kanzi and I will write down your names in Arabic, and I will make a copy for you, and you will copy your name on your own quilt piece. Molly is not enthusiastic about the project. Who cares about Arabic? We live in America. My mom says we should speak English. In response, Mrs. Hagen starts writing words on the board. Algebra, coffee, lemon, sugar. Does anyone know what these words have in common, she asks. Any guesses? Okay. They come from Arabic words, Kanzi says. Mrs. Hagen nods. Learning other languages besides the one we grow up with helps make the world a friendlier place. We can speak non-English languages and still be American. I wonder what my name looks like in Arabic, Brianna says. Kanzi and Mama write down everyone's names. Neat! Shukran, Amina exclaims. Everyone copies their Arabic names onto sheets of colored paper, and they decorate the papers with glitter and jewels and place them on the table for the glue to dry. On Monday morning, you will see a beautiful class quilt hanging in the hall, Mrs. Hagen tells them. Kanzi is nervous when the bell rings on Monday morning and the kids file into school. What if the quilt doesn't look good? The quilt hangs on the bulletin board outside Mrs. Hagen's classroom. The colorful papers with their Arabic names have been cut into different shapes and sizes, and all the pieces stapled together. Kanzi stands in awe, reading the names in Arabic. Claire, Leah, Molly, Ivy, Jack, Lucas, Brianna, Chang, Deshawn, Sam, Angela, Lily, Amina. Teachers and older students stop to look at the names, trying to figure out whose name is whose. Wow, look at all those beautiful letters. They're like drawings, they say. See? Yeah. That was really cool project, Kanzi. Shukran, Kanzi's classmates tell her. I'm sorry I made fun of you, says Molly. I didn't realize how important a different language is. Can you write my mom's name in Arabic? I want to give it to her as a present. Do you want to go swimming soon? I'd love to, Kanzi says, and as Molly hugs her. Leaving class a week later, Kanzi stops to look at the Arabic quilt one more time. Right across from it, she is surprised to see another collage of names in a language she doesn't recognize. Those are my classmates' names in Japanese, Kura says. Our teacher was inspired by your classroom's idea and asked me to help write everyone's name in Japanese. Aren't languages a beautiful thing? Kanzi smiles in agreement. In her room that night, Kanzi holds Titi's quilt tightly as she writes a poem for her parents. Shukran, thank you, Mama and Baba, for always encouraging me to be proud of speaking a different language and speaking it out loud. Languages can unite us together like a quilt. So I will always speak my languages without guilt. I will never be ashamed to speak in this language that is so unique. Ba'abek, Mama, Ba'habek, Bak, Baba. And then that is it. Thank you for listening. So, thank you all. And now what we're going to do is the adults are going to form a bridge so we can all walk to the classrooms. The teachers will be waiting for you there. Kids in kindergarten through second grade are going to classroom 2. Third through fifth grade are going to classroom 4.
Well, it is giving time at 1U, a time in which we ask committed folks in this church to share generously with this community. I'm Neil Boris, and a member of the worship team and also a member of this church for many years now, and was drafted to give just a brief testimonial about why we, my family, the Boris family, support this group. I decided in the late night TV tradition to do a list, you know, a top 10 list, but since there's only so much time, it's a top 5 list. All right? We tried to engage our teenagers in this process. They didn't get out of bed. Our youngest child was out playing soccer, so it's my wife and I who really made this top 5 list. Number 5, cookies. Sometimes there are homemade cookies, sometimes there are Pepperidge Farm cookies at coffee hour, and this deserves support. Thank you. Number 4, community. 1U is us. We support one another, and in our too fast-paced, too digital, too impersonal world, community matters a lot. Number 3, children. We have 3 kids, almost 18, almost 16, and 10. Opening their minds to church is meaningful, and we give because the RE program here at 1U deserves support. We value having an LGBTQ plus supportive and safe community, particularly for children who have diverse family structures as a norm. Number 2, relationships. The UU Church is where we have connected with some of our closest friends in this community. From Orlando to New Orleans, to Albania, to Hawaii, people we meet from the church are the people we become lifelong friends with and travel to visit if they move away. Yes, we have traveled to visit people in Hawaii from this church. But it's when the going has gotten rough for our family, in particular the year in which both my wife and my mother battled cancer, that the relationships of this community meant so much to our family. We are forever grateful. Number 1, faith. Faith is a word that makes me nervous, which probably means that UUism is right for me. At the same time, wrestling with the big why questions of life is enriching. Here, in this sanctuary, faith breathes.
Good morning. I'm Allison McMillan, one of your Board of Trustees, I suppose. We invite you now into the practice of generosity. It is one of our spiritual values which sustains the life and ministries of the church community. Let us be grateful for the opportunity to give, for it is a privilege to be able to do so. And let us be grateful for our needs, for they give us the opportunity to practice receiving. For our Share the Plate in March, our partner is the Coalition of Immokalee Workers. Please use the link in the newsletter or on the screen to donate directly to them. Please let 1U know that you donated. The offering will now be collected. Note that you can also give online using the link.
Reassure me when I'm uncertain. Will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share songs? you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do, then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me? Stand by me willingly? Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do, then I may learn to give.
Let us joyfully receive what is offered here today in the spirit of gratitude and fellowship.
This is the time we set aside for deep sharing from our own hearts and for prayer and meditation. If you have a sorrow that you need witnessed or help with, or have a joy that you wish to share, please contribute to our collective sharing of joys and sorrows to be read each Sunday during worship. You can send an email to joysandconcerns@orlandouu.org during the week, or if you're attending in person, you can also fill out a card at the registration table and hand it to an usher before the start of the service. And after the meditation, we will call you forward to participate in our candle lighting ritual. Bring your joys and your sorrows as we come together. Come as you are. Your whole self is welcome in this sacred space that we are creating together. Our joys and concerns from 1U. I'll start with, I want to share that my 1-year older brother, Larry, who recently moved to Clearwater from Houston, has been diagnosed with significant health challenges, and he will be receiving treatment in Tampa. And Ted and I are glad to be closer to him during this challenging time. Your thoughts and prayers are welcome. And from Mike Lewis, he'd like to offer a thank you to Linda Pantieri for providing the lovely new plant and planter outside of Gore Hall kitchen door. Thank you, Linda. And today's flowers honor Audrey Connelly-Candelario. His musical talents and his gift of bringing groups into 1U, they are all a gift that he generously shares with all of us. He has been a unifying force throughout the challenges of the past few years. Thank you for making us a musically rich congregation. Well deserved. Nikki Drum and Rachel Gardner both tested positive with COVID-19 this past week. They're quarantined at home and grateful for access to medical care and healing energies from this beloved community. I also want to mention 3 people who are in the service today that we didn't get up front. Allison McMillan and Linda and Dave Shine, thank you for being here with us today. And now from Harold and Allison Issen. Delighted to announce both the wedding of our son Ted to his love Diana in early February and the birth of their beautiful daughter Isabel, or Ellie, on March 2nd. Allison will soon be heading up to live near them in Chicago. That's the sad news. And more or less full-time while Harold continues to stay in Orlando for work. Allison has been attending 1U since 1986 and will miss this beloved community so much. And from the larger community, we continue to hold Orlando community in love as Orlando and our state continues to need comfort and activism to eradicate hate. We continue to hold our global community in love as continuing conflicts beset communities around the world. And for all the joys and sorrows of this community shared today, and for those held close in our hearts, let's pray. Let's celebrate and send each other healing energy.
Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of all that holds us, come. Be with us here in these sacred moments as we pray. Together we are here to share stories, to hear stories, to be empowered by the truth. It's often hard to be vulnerable because that means that we are showing another person our belly, our underside, that place we hold so dear. But here in this moment, we're free to be vulnerable. I come here today sharing three beautiful stories from my own life. Stories that will make some people laugh and some cry, some criticize, and some grateful. But I ask that you hold all of us in this moment as we create this sacred space. Hold us in all the stories that are contained within our spirits. Hold those stories that we tell over and over again. Hold those stories we never, ever want to tell another person. Hold all of those stories in the in-between. And in this moment, I give you space to say a prayer. And when you're ready, I want you to breathe with me. You don't have to breathe deeply. Just notice your breath. And I want you to think about that moment of sharing, that space of in-between that comes when you're not sure how the other person will respond. And I want you to just keep breathing through it. And I want you to take a couple of deep breaths. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And just breathe through the feelings that come up for you. Breathe knowing that here in this space, you are safe and you are loved. Breathe. And when you're ready, return to your normal breath. Settle in. And remember, you are loved. You are safe here in this moment. Amen.
you are invited to come forward and light a candle of remembrance, loving kindness, or hope, as From You I Receive plays by Audrey. Feel free to hum or sing along, and we invite you up now.
So often I wonder if I'm good, and the whispers, while fleeting, remind me of all the things that I have done, seen, felt. And it feels like the good others see is just as strong as the bad. I tell you, there is no good or bad, just a snapshot of reality. We are always becoming more, giving more, wanting more, 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 more. More goodness, more righteousness, more accolades to feel worthy. We are already worthy. You, me, them, especially us. I remember a time when it didn't matter if we could just remember how to love each other, ourselves optionally. I think we started to see the fallacy of always generating outwards as we hope to feel internally. That goodness we try to hold on to, that badness we try to discard and beg to bury, it doesn't exist. There's no chalkboard dividing down the middle with tally marks on each and weighed for worth. No, there isn't a tree that grows new leaves when we are good, that wilts and browns when we are not. There is only this moment, one chance to decide, and many paths forward. None are good or bad. Some can be easier or harder, but there is no morality in surviving, thriving, living. Am I the only one who wonders if I'm good? No? Well, the wait and the anticipation is over. We are whatever we decide to be in every moment. I mean, we know Santa Claus keeps track starting about after Thanksgiving through Christmas. We all want to be on that nice list. But you know, we all know that getting on that naughty list is a lot harder than getting off it. To get back on the nice list, we apologize and work hard not to make the same mistakes. Grace. We give and receive it. Grace. When I was younger, I tried to keep track of when I was good and when I was bad. I worked so hard to always be good. But when I was bad, watch out. I could be meaner than necessary because I figured if I couldn't be good in the moment, I could be really good at being bad. And one day I realized if I didn't keep track, I wouldn't have to make up for what I perceived as bad. I just got to be. To own these two different parts of myself. To offer grace to myself when I needed it. To love all parts of myself so that there was no need to balance. I could just be. Scars. Scars are proof that life has moved forward, has either hurt or healed, changed. There is strength there in the space between where the skin knits itself together. The power of what we can't see easily gives us strength we didn't know we had. There's beauty there where the healing happens. It seems angry like fire, but it is life, eager to be repaired. There is no brokenness, though fragile. Our skin is strong enough to break only under extreme pressure. And we are mostly okay after. Scars don't take away from or make us less. It's okay to be afraid to show them. But know, you will always be worthy and free to be whole, no matter how many scars grace your body in service to who you are. Scars. Many of us have them, both visible and invisible. Some we cover, others we proudly display like a badge of honor. This poem was written for a friend who has scars from top surgery that were necessary to their identity as a non-binary person. And while they knew they needed this, it takes time to adjust when we are transforming, becoming. The scars here are literal, written to remind them of the beauty that can come from pain. Their spirit awakened in a way that made them feel a comfort I have never had to question. We can carry scars of past trauma, scars of bad leadership, scars of inattention. We carry the hurt from religious institutions, from family absence. It matters that we tell ourselves, tell each other, that our scars don't make us less than, that our scars don't make us ugly or deformed. Each of us has earned that healing, that holy love and acceptance. Today, I am walking through mud, thick with grief, mine and not mine, heavy, weighing me down like quicksand, sinking deeper with each step, afraid to stop, for fear that stopping is the end. Today, I am swimming with ankles tied tightly to things that just won't let go. Thoughts that just won't rise. Feelings that strangle and smother. It's dark here, and the light, me, flickers with joy. In moments, fleeting. It is the only way to see where there is nowhere to see, to move in a space that is infinite and confined. Today, I try to walk with purpose, head high and eyes forward, manifesting dreams of hopes and wants and needs. Because while I feel heavy and I move a bit slower, I shift my focus on building and building, growing and changing, learning to walk more steadily through mud. I confess, y'all, I love the beach, but hate the sand. I hate dusty dirt, but I love the squish of mud between my toes. Yes, I'm weird, I own it. I'm going to share a bit of family lore. If you've heard it before, let's enjoy it again. I have to at every single family gathering. When my two younger brothers and I were kids, we often had sleepovers with our cousins. All the cousins liked to go to my Aunt Mary's house because she fed us hot dogs and chips and let us run all over the woods with one of our older cousins. We would build things and I would pick flowers, and we had to be back before dark. That was the rule. In front of her house, there was a little creek that you had to drive over, and we decided this day would be the perfect day to build a bridge. This bridge, y'all, it was beautiful. We used sticks, mud, and we layered and layered, working for a few hours to build it. I'm a little surprised none of my cousins became engineers, but the next part probably scared them off. After building this bridge, we were so excited because we worked so hard. And then came the test. to see if our planning worked enough for it to hold up. One cousin runs across, it's stable. The second cousin runs across, not even a bend in any of the sticks. And at this point, everyone is feeling good, and we have to have a good sample size, for science. So before we could celebrate this as a success, we had to have more people run across. So the third and fourth cousin ran across with no problem. Then it was my turn. I can't run, and I'm afraid, and I try to talk them out of making me take my turn. At this point, I'm the only girl, and so I'm outranked, and I have to go. If I refuse, they will spend the entire weekend making chicken noises at me. So I take a deep breath, and I take one step, and then another right in the middle. And down I go, right into the creek. Yes, I totally want you to feel sorry for me, but all the cousins at this point in the story yell and jump up and remind everyone that the distance between the bottom of the creek and the top of the bridge is about knee-high. When I fell through the bridge, I'm pretty sure I had the tiniest scrape on my calf that didn't even bleed. But I did cry. But I didn't cry. That was the thing. I didn't cry. I was so happy that I didn't cry. That was the most important thing. But we all laughed, them much harder than me. Finally, one of them says to me, "Why didn't you run? There's no center support. Why did you think we all ran?" I learned that day that sometimes the way we move in life means we will fall and get muddy, but we don't have to get stuck there. The people who love you may laugh and embarrass you until you die retelling those stories, but you are never alone in them. On my worst days of depression flares, there is someone willing to say, "Hey, do you remember that bridge we built?" When you came into the service today, you were given a small piece of paper. One side with some sort of design and blank on the other, something similar to this, just a little card, different shapes and sizes. Some of them have blank sides, some of them have other patterns, some have both sides are blank. On the blank side, whatever you determine that blank side to be, I want you to write down something that helps you during these times when you feel vulnerable, things that make you feel safe. Write whatever you need to. You don't need to sign your name. And this part will be hidden because we're going to tape it or glue it to the boards that are set up for the creation of a group collage. And if you find that you need more than one, grab another. Let this art that you create together as a community be a reminder that while being vulnerable can be hard, you never have to do it alone. And if you're at home, you can do the same thing. Grab a scrap of paper or scraps of paper. They don't have to be fancy. But I want you to have a visual reminder of that safety. When you are part of a community, you are never alone. And I hope you find one person you can be your full, vulnerable self.
So as you take a look at your paper, just to remind you, you're going to be answering the question, what helps you through vulnerable times? And we have 2 boards out on the tables, 2 tag boards. The question is there too, and we invite you to take the glue sticks that are out there, glue onto your words, turn it over to make a collage. And so we're going to give you a little bit of time now to write, knowing that those words will be yours and they won't be shared with the whole group. because you'll be gluing them onto the paper. If you don't have one, maybe Mike, could you bring the basket around? Just raise your hand if you don't have a pen or a pencil or one of the cards, and we'll make sure you get one. Looks like everybody maybe got one. Thank you. And now please join in as we sing our final closing hymn, One More Step, number 168, and projected on the screen.
Please stand as you are willing and able.
Beloveds, go now out into the world, sharing stories and listening for them. When you find a place of safety, you don't have to be afraid to tell your truth. Amen.
Please say these words with me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I'm Frightened, and it's in our teal hymn. When I'm Frightened. It's beautiful. Sounds good to me, but it's really beautiful. We don't do it very often.